My mother was not real. She was an early dream, a hope. She was a place, snowy, like here, and cold. A mother is written off by a daughter in the very first sentence of the book. To put it bluntly, David Vann's Caribou Island is a book where love does not conquer all, as David Vann has been quoted for saying, "Because you can choose who you'll be with, but you can't choose who they'll become." David Vann relies on his intuition when he writes. He lets the plot and characters come to him in a form of messages from his subconscious. Only when the book is finished does he get to track where his ideas really came from. The motivations for Caribou Island are therefore often not obvious to Vann when he starts writing. For instance, he has discovered that Caribou Island talks about religion. He has worked in his spare time translating Beowulf from Old English, and he discovered elements in his book which relates to the Anglo-Saxons and the notion of doom. The plot and characters in Caribou Island are inspired from members of Vann's own family and events in their past, which involves 2 suicides and a murder. Vann's own father killed himself when Vann was a teenager, and the author has dealt with this trauma in his first novel, Legend of a Suicide. Therefore, Caribou Island, the novel which follows Legend of a Suicide, also features the same characters as his previous novel, only in different circumstances. In Caribou Island, Vann exposes the emotional and psychological core of his past family tragedy. He creates a disturbing relation between 2 people, which unravels through the book in between the stories of other characters who scramble to pursue their desires and ambitions. In his books, David Vann is very aware of the landscape and its role as the stage that helps define the characters. They are the 2 ingredients which Vann believes you need for a good book. In his opinion, the majority of unsuspected surprises can come from the landscape in a story. Vann is very influenced by the landscape from his own childhood, in which he places his fictional characters. He says that it's impossible to look at it without having it change shape and shift, and become something strange, and say something about the inside life of the characters. He compares the landscape to a form of Rorschach drawing, which the character and the reader can fill with their own fears, desires, and ambitions. The author grew up in Alaska with the presence of wildlife not far away from their doorstep. As a result, he always felt watched and hunted, and it shows in how he uses the wild Alaskan scenery as a silent backdrop for Caribou Island. We really had wolves and bears, and the forest had so many fallen trees and so much growth. It was so thick that when I went running through it as a kid, I would fall through and disappear into a kind of second floor. As a result, the great Alaskan outdoors lingers in the background as a silent promise of something pure and redeeming if you enter into it, a looming potential fate in the background. By now, you probably understand that David Vann's Caribou Island is not a testament to the human spirit or the power of love. It is a story about when the human pursuit of happiness fails. So why should people read this book? One good reason is that this tragedy is simply well written. The greatest stories often entail the greatest tragedies, as they portray the greatest potential for human growth, and this story contains several tragedies. If anything, you might find that, compared to the characters in the book, your life is not that bad. David Vann is an interesting literary experience, and I will let the author have the last say about his bleak stories. It was a wonderful gift to come from 2 families that both have suicide and terrible problems joined in this beautiful union in these beautiful landscapes like Alaska. It's wonderful for writing to have that background, but it was horrifying for everyone to live through. I hope you found this little video interesting. You can support the channel by clicking the link in the description and go buy yourself a book, and a small commission will be sent this way. Also, hit the like and subscribe button. Until the next video, have a great day and keep reading.